Hello everyone, I'm Brittany and today I'm going to be giving my thoughts as well as a psychoanalytical literary approach to Midsummer. I'm doing something a little bit different this time since it is the last vlog, and I wanted to go a little deeper. So going into my thoughts about the movie, Midsummer was the most disturbing, strange movie I have ever seen in my entire life. Where do I even begin? It is absolutely insane. I'll admit I had to look at a couple of memes after I watched the movie to cleanse my mind because I found myself so emotionally affected by the movie. Um, I I thought it was so strange, but I also thought it was so shocking how there was also a lot of meaning in the movie, although much of the content was very disturbing. But the subject that spoke the most to me was trauma and the need for a support system, focusing specifically on Danny and the way she deals with her trauma, sort of the process by which she deals with her trauma. So the saddest thing to me was seeing that she didn't really have a support system around her that really wanted to listen to her and provide her with the empathy that she really needs. I hope that when I become an educator, I hope I can be that support system for someone if they need it. So I think that mental health should be of the utmost importance, especially in schools. But enough about me. So at the start of the movie, we find out pretty early on that Danny's sister Terry has killed herself and their parents through carbon monoxide. And it is not just this tragic event that is eating away at Danny. It is the fact that she doesn't really have anyone around her who is willing to listen to her and help her through what she's dealing with. Um, and I will show you guys. So Christian, her boyfriend, and his friends, they are talking about Danny, and they mention to Christian that it is important for them to keep their distance, um, for Christian and Danny to keep their distance, excuse me, um, because apparently talking to Christian about her trauma is literally abuse. That is something they literally say, and I found that very infuriating. Um, just because of their rudeness and harshness about her situation and just the complete negligence of empathy that they have. So we can see in the scene that Danny is calling Christian because she has just found out about her sister and her parents. So here they are talking about her. Yeah. He says that it is abuse that she wants to talk to him so much. In relationships, it's important to have boundaries sometimes, in some cases. I think it really depends on the relationship and the situation. But especially in a situation like this, it is so important to have someone who is there to listen, um, who's there to listen and talk with you about what you're dealing with. Um, so we can see that the person who is supposed to be the closest with her, someone who's been with her for almost 4 years, if I'm correct, he doesn't seem to help her with her trauma at all. He doesn't provide her with the empathy that she really needs and really desires. In fact, he is very uncomfortable with her trauma and even resentful of it. So additionally, Danny, she gets invited to Sweden with her boyfriend and his friends. Lovely people. So she sees this as a way for her to go someplace else and leave all of her trauma behind her. But of course, this is not the way that trauma works, as when you are trying to push something to the back of your mind, it is always bound to resurface. And that is what I've found in much of my psychoanalytical research that I've done for English classes in the past. Um, so she thinks she can leave all of her trauma behind her when she goes to Sweden. And I'll start with the first time that we see her PTSD really come into play, which is at about 30 minutes. I think it's about here-ish. Okay, so here she has been pressured into taking shrooms with her boyfriend and his friends, and I mean, at first it seems like she is stable and even calm, but she is suddenly triggered by a panic attack that brings forth all of these traumatic memories all over again. So she she doesn't want to show this to anybody, and she starts to run to the shed, which is a bathroom. So she tries to hide this from everyone because, of course, she knows that they probably don't want to help her with her trauma, and I think she's a bit ashamed um, with her trauma, or ashamed of her trauma, excuse me. Um, but let me fast forward just a little bit. Okay, so here, if it will load, so here, she is verbally abusing herself, trying to get herself to calm down, and we can see how she's trying to push these thoughts to the back of her mind over and over and over again and just forget about it. Um, she doesn't want to acknowledge them. So we can see a manifestation of this trauma resurfacing when she finally does reach the bathroom, and it's going to be very brief. So here, we see a very brief but horrifying image of her sister, of her dead sister, and we can see how this avoidance approach, although it is protective in the short term, um, the suppressed memories are always bound to resurface, especially if you don't acknowledge them or, um, try to talk to people about them. So um, when she does finally find somebody who will kind of talk with her about it, um, uh, so anyways, the only person who really seems to give Danny the support that she really needs is Pele, in fact, believe it or not. But even he gets it wrong at first, because at some point in the movie, he mentions the fact that he has lost his family too, and that he understands what she's going through. And of course, this intense trauma is still too fresh on her mind to even mention, or to even, hear from other people. Um, and this triggers some more of her suppressed memories, and them resurfacing once again. But later on, Pele talks with Danny about the importance of a family, having someone who can hold you. He asks her if she feels held by Christian, meaning if she feels loved by him. And of course, she doesn't truly feel loved by him. She doesn't feel listened to. So we can see that Danny really needs empathy to deal with her trauma, um, especially for people who are dealing with trauma other than Danny. Um, people just in the real world. We all need someone who is willing to listen to us and help talk, with us, through whatever racing thoughts or stress or anxiety or trauma. So it is so important to have someone who is there for you, having someone who is empathetic and um, unbiased and honest. But of course, she doesn't really have anyone um, who is like that around her, besides maybe Pele and some of the girls later on, which I will mention as well. Uh, so so in the scene where the women are with Danny after she sees her boyfriend cheating on her, they all cry with her. They all feel with her. They even all shout with her, and um, they all seem to understand the pain that she is going through and trying to help her deal with it in a way that is healthy. Um, so, mm, okay, it's not exactly in the scene, but the screen recording is blocking my view. But anyways, in the scene where they are all crying together, um, the scene is unsettling because of the cult dynamic, definitely. There is something very cathartic about the concept of sharing pain instead of being completely isolated in it like Danny was before. For the first time, she she feels listened to. She feels like they all understand this pain. And I think that this is what makes the film so cathartic as well. Although much of it is very disturbing. Just the rituals of Harga, their relationship to nature, and the way by which they um, gift and value empathy. Um, it all seems to break Danny open piece by piece in a way that is healthy at first, but of course it seems to spiral to a point where Danny has found herself at a point she can no longer recover from. She is so far gone mentally that she's left feeling pretty emotionally empty by the end of the movie. Although she does feel pretty freed by the fact that she has sacrificed her boyfriend at the end, and that she has found a family, she thinks, at the end, who will truly support her. Um, just mentally, she is so affected and so emotionally empty and closed off that by the end we get a very unsettling close-up image of her face, just smiling. So overall, I just thought it was so interesting to see how Danny processes her trauma, um, how she goes through these stages of um, repress, resurface, resurface, resurface all over again. And then, she finally learns to come to terms with it when there are people around her who seem to be more empathetic than her boyfriend and his friends are. So, overall, those are all of my thoughts about the movie, and I hope I gave you guys some insight about this. This was something that was a little bit different, so pardon if I made some mistakes or anything like that. But anyways, that's it. Bye!